Welcome, buenas tardes, bienvenidos. I am Ivan Calerdon. I'm the founder of Taco Rosa, Mexico City Cuisine, and Taco Mesa, Healthy and Authentic. With me today, I have chef veteran Felix Arellano from Zacatecas, Mexico. And I want to thank Cisco for allowing us to use their kitchen and their facility. A great partner to have on board with our product distribution. We're going to make today for you Chamorro de Puerco and Chile Negro with Yukon potatoes and pork belly beans. But before we start cooking for you, I would like to ask you to get a piece of paper, maybe get a pen or a pencil and write some of this down, or else you can email us at www.tacomesatacorosa.com and we'll be with your address and we'll be happy to mail you the recipe. So thank you for being with us. We're going to start, to begin with, we're going to start with our pork belly carnitas, pork belly chicharrón. Chef Felix is going to cut that in chunks for you. And what we're going to do with the pork belly is we're going to marinate it overnight. We're going to marinate it overnight. And we're going to be using, for our marinade, we're going to be using some orange juice for you. And the orange juice, what it's going to do is going to give that chicharrón, the pork, a little bit of that sweet citrus flavor to it. Then we're going to add some milk to it as well on that marinade. And what the milk's going to do to the chicharrón is going to make it tender. It's going to tenderize the pork belly. We're going to add some sea salt. We're going to add some granulated garlic for you, and then we're going to again marinate that overnight. We're going to put some Laris seasoning salt. We're also going to put some black pepper for you, and so we got a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper for you, a little bit of Laris salt. We're also going to have a little bit of cumin for you. And we're going to add some fresh garlic as well. Now the key to the carnitas, and you can do this also with pork shoulder. You can do it with pork butt. That's going to be the famous carnitas for you. And to that, we're going to let them rest overnight. It's really important that you let them rest overnight. Once you let them rest overnight, then after that we are going to bring them. We're going to fry them. We're going to bring them to a boil, and then we're going to simmer them for at least a couple hours at low heat. So this is your pork belly that's already been marinated overnight. As you can see, the pork's already absorbed all of the citrus, the milk, and all the herbs and spices for you. So with this, we're going to go to the you can use a deep fryer or you can use a pot with oil, and we're going to use canola oil for you. And then we're going to slowly add the pork to it until it comes to a boil, and then we're going to simmer at low heat for a couple of hours until the pork belly is nice and tender. We're going to use this pork belly for our pork belly beans. So for our pork belly beans, we're going to use 2 pounds of some water here. We're going to put some pinto beans that have already been cleaned for you. And then we're going to add just some seasoning, some sea salt. We always use sea salt. And then we're just going to use some garlic to it. Now, it's very, very important when you cook beans, this once you bring them to a boil, you got to simmer real slow. The slower you cook the bean, the more flavor you're going to have, the less evaporation. A lot of people tend to want to speed up the bean. They cook it too fast because it takes a long time to cook, and they keep adding water to the beans, which causes the bean to cook quick, but all the flavors evaporate in the process. What we want to do with beans, if you want to have a real good bean, once it comes to a boil, you want to simmer real slow. Let it cook nice and easy so that you retain all of the flavors as opposed to letting them evaporate in the process. So this is going to be for our pork belly beans for you. And now we're going to get ready to do the Chamorro de Puerco, which is the foreshank of the black pig. As you know, the black pig, it is the best of the pork family. There's nothing better on the pork than black beef. If you can see, it almost looks like it is red beef as opposed to pork, but it is pork. So what we're going to do with the chamorros, the four shank osobuco, we're going to dust them with a little bit of flour to sear the pores, and then we're going to put a little bit of Lari salt. We're going to put a little bit of black sea salt, Lari salt, a little bit of black pepper for you, and a little bit of garlic. And we're going to dust them in the spices and flour to sear them, to give them a little flavor. And then we're going to sear them here on our brazier with a little bit of canola oil for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to sear them at high heat for you. And we want to sear them so that we can retain the marbling, so we can retain its natural juices before we actually cook them with our herbs and spices for you. We're going to let them sear, and then we're going to get our broth ready for you for the chamorros. We're going to sear the chamorros, and then we're going to cook them with water, a little bit of sea salt. Then we're going to use granulated garlic. We're also going to use some black pepper. And we're also going to use a little bit of cumin. And we're going to put also some celery, some carrot, and some onion that we have right here for you. And once the chamorros are completely seared on both sides, then we are going to bring them to a boil, and then we're going to simmer real slow for approximately 2 hours until the chamorros are very, very tender. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get that done for you. Now we're going to move into our Chile Negro sauce that we're going to use for this dish. Chile Negro, it's going to be fabulous. What we're going to use is we're going to use a blend of three chiles. We're going to use Chile Negro, we're going to use Guajillo, and we're going to use Chile Ancho. These are probably the trinity of the chiles in Mexico. These chiles are used quite a bit in a lot of our cooking. Chile Negro comes from chilaca. It's a dried pasilla, and then it's called chilaca. What it has a little bit of licorice, grape, berry flavor to it. And then we're also going to use the guajillo who has a little bit of berry, green tea flavor to it. And then we're going to use the Chile Ancho, which is a poblano, broad shoulders, thick skin, and it has a little bit of coffee, licorice, tobacco flavor to it. What we're going to do with the chiles, we're going to open them up, we're going to de-seed them, and then we're going to soak them in water for approximately 30 minutes until they're nice and soft and tender. Now, if you were going to make a puree, after you soak them in water for about 30 minutes, you want to discard the water, discard the old water, because the old water is going to draw away the impurities of the pepper. Okay, and then you're going to rinse them and blend them with clean water. Okay, and then you can make your puree. And it's about 1 ounce of water per chile if you want to do a nice puree. But for our purposes, we're not going to puree the chiles. We're going to use them for the base of our Chile Negro sauce that we're going to make right here for you. So in those chiles are going to be, first we're going to roast them with some herbs and spices so that we open up the pores, we release the flavors of those chiles. So, and we're going to use the same brazier that we use to sear our chamorros, so we have that residue of the chamorro into our base of our chiles. Now for our Chile Negro sauce, we're going to add a few tortillas. I want to do the tortillas first to make them a little tostaditas. Okay, we're going to cook them for a few minutes till they become like a tostada shell, and then we're going to be adding our chiles that have already, as you can see, they're already been soaked and softened. They've been cleaned, and then now we're going to roast them. I'm going to use a little bit of whole fennel seeds for you. I'm going to roast the spices for you, toast them for you, so that when we toast the spices, we're going to open up those flavors for you. I'm going to put some cumin, some nice fresh cumin seed. I'm going to do some peppercorn. I'm going to use some allspice berries for you. I'm going to put some bay leaf. I'm going to put some oregano. And what I want to do with it is basically I want to roast them a little bit so that I can open up their flavor. I can get those spices to toast a little. Now, I'm going to use the broth that we had for the chamorros. We already cooked the chamorros. They were there for almost 2 hours. They're nice and tender. Now I'm going to use the pork broth to make my Chile Negro sauce, in which I'm going to add tomato to it. Now we're going to add them to our chiles. Yeah. Now we're going to wait a little bit until the tomatoes come to a boil. We're going to add them to our mixture here. So we have that pork chamorro broth, the chiles, and we're going to let it cook for about 20-30 minutes, and then we'll be ready to blend and strain for our Chile Negro sauce, which we have right here. Once it's cooked for 20-30 minutes, then we're going to blend it, then we're going to strain it, and this is going to be our final product, our Chile Negro for our curubuta for you. Now we're going to, before we finish the sauce, what happens to the sauce once it's blended, once it's strained, we're going to saute it with sofrito to give it that final boost to it. So after it's blended, after it's strained, we're going to saute the sauce with a little bit of sofrito, which is basically your garlic, olive oil, and onion, so that we can cook the sauce. It's an outstanding product. You're going to love it. Now we're going to move right on to our Yukon potatoes for you. We got those beans ready to go now. So now we're going to add our chicharron, our pork belly that we've already cut up. Our carnitas with pork belly, and then we're going to add them to our beans to give it that flavor. And then I'm going to add one last thing to those beans. I'm going to add some sofrito to them. I'm going to heat them up a little bit to get those flavors opened up. Now we have our pork belly beans, and now we're going to do our Yukon potatoes. Our Yukon potatoes, we're going to cut them first. Then after we cut them, we're going to put them in boiling water, and we're going to add a little bit of sea salt, and we're going to let them cook for approximately, once it comes to a boil, we're going to cook them for approximately 15 minutes. And after they're cooked, then we're going to saute them. A little bit of just a little pinch of pepper and some Larry seasoning salt and a little bit of blackened spice mix. Again, our blackened spice has got a little bit of paprika, cumin, garlic. Then at the very end, we're just going to finish it with a little bit of garlic butter for you. And here you're welcome to Taco Rosa, Mexico City cuisine, either at Irvine or Newport Beach, to try our Chamorro de Puerco, curubuta, the black pig, on red Chile Negro with baked Yukon potatoes and pork belly beans for you. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, if you'd like the recipe, please email us your address at www.tacorosa.com. Thank you very much.